Hello, my name is Robert Ajanna, and I wish you a warm welcome to the Walking Podcast. Today I want to share a story with you that is fully attributed and dedicated to my very good friend Philip, who shared this experience with me a few days ago in an audio message actually. And he was describing how he was struggling with the internet generally and how we consume information and news. And it got me think, and he was describing a couple of kind of pinpoints that he really had troubles with dealing. And I was reflecting about them myself and was thinking, how do I deal with them? And I've come to some conclusions where I thought, maybe that's worth sharing. Maybe that's just worth sharing from my perspective and have a conversation on this very important topic on how we as people use and spend time in front of our computers surfing the internet. So I want to start by just describing a little bit what my dear friend Philip shared with me. And he began giving an example of YouTube. So when he watches a movie or a video on YouTube, he happened to discover himself clicking to the next video, more like almost automatically. After watching one video, he just his eyes jump and get attracted by this featured next column on the right, suggesting him the next great thing to watch. And so he just clicks on it, and this goes on and on and on until he finally realizes how much time he has spent by just watching videos on YouTube. And of course that's that's one of these points and sort of almost disadvantages of the internet is that with so low transaction costs, the internet is literally for free. Given the amount of information that we can consume for free on the internet, that's sheerly amazing. But as seen in this case, it also bears the great risk that we cannot control how much information we consume. So after giving this example, Philip was just asking me, and he was curious if I had experienced the same problem, and luckily I didn't. So when I watch a movie, or why do I say movie? Why do I keep thinking of movies on YouTube? A video. So when I watch a video on YouTube, usually I just watch the video, and then for me this chapter is sort of completed, and I would just close the site. But maybe there's a sort of technical, very practical fix that I use, and that makes it maybe more easy for me to cope with this kind of information. So whenever someone is sending me a link and saying, overly excited, Robert, you need to watch this, or Robert, you need to listen to this podcast, or you need to read this article, it's truly great. Well, then I think, okay, that might be true, but not now. I refuse to consume the information at the moment that it reaches me. So what I basically try to do is I want to reduce any kind of possible distraction that could keep me in front of my computer for longer than needed. because I, at least for myself, feel that the moments in which I'm most happy and most, grateful for, they usually don't happen in front of my computer. They happen when I'm with people, when I do physical activities, just being outside and discovering or experiencing something that I rarely do, or that is maybe completely new. And so the essential question for me is, how can I maximize this quality time and minimize the time spent in front of my computer, which is, sadly, not reducible to zero. At least in my life, the computer, the internet, and the work I can do with both of them is just sort of more or less guaranteeing me my way of life. So I need them to make some money. And this is probably the case for most of us, that we depend on these, on the internet and computers to do our work and earn money. So how did I get there? Oh yeah, so reducing the time and distractions that could keep me in front of my computer for longer than needed. Right. So I use a tool. I mean, I don't want to make promotion for it. There's probably other tools as well, but I can just share, the one that I use and the one that works for me, and it's called Pocket. And it basically behaves like a pocket. So each time I get a link with the request from someone to please have a look at it, I just keep it I just click a button, and this information gets into my pocket for later use. So I avoid, consuming it at the spot, but just rather keep it for a situation or, a moment in which I deliberately want to read, want to listen, or want to watch it. And that works really well for me to keep distractions as far away as possible. But of course, for me at least, there's more to it. Most of my conversations, most of my almost time spent on the internet is through my email app. And so what really helped me a lot was to realize that, over time I enrolled and subscribed myself to so many news feeds, mailing lists, and whatever, just because I had the feeling, for my career it will be needed, or, the more the better, the more information I can absorb, the more intelligent I will be, the more knowledgeable I will be, the more valued I will be on the market, and the better my life will be. But the opposite happened. So the more I was subscribing myself, to all these newsletters and information, I got overwhelmed. At one point I got so much information. I ended up, receiving 30, 40 emails a day, and it only required one day not spending, or one day not spent in front of a computer, to just overblow my life. So, I taking holidays kind of got to this uncomfortable, it caused discomfort, because I knew once I will be back, I will have ended up with, a full email inbox that I had to clean. So essentially, having realized that, I decluttered, I unsubscribed myself from everything as much as possible, to really just keep the one or two things that I really care about at the moment. And that was a very, very deliberating, one of the most deliberating things that I could have done to my digital life. And so, let me think. That's That's YouTube and Pocket and email. And of course, there's one really, really big piece left, and that concerns social media, social networks, Facebook, Twitter, and the like. I mean, we as people, we keep using it because on one side we want to stay connected. On the other side, we fear that by being not on these networks, life will just pass by and we will miss the big opportunities. And I realized for myself that the opposite is true. Like, I'm actually not missing anything by being a bit more strict and regulating these networks. So what I did, I've come up with some policies for myself how I want to use Facebook, especially Facebook. So yes, I do want to use it because I keep meeting people from around the world and I want to stay in touch with them, and Facebook offers me a sort of a well-working way to do so. But that of course doesn't mean that I want Facebook to dictate my life. So my most important policy for Facebook is that, and this is probably very familiar now to Facebook users, when you go on Facebook, there is this really annoying world icon on the top right corner, and it basically shows you this constantly increasing amount of unread notifications. And this was driving me crazy. Each day, I cleaned it up, and the next day I got another 20 unread notifications from event invitations ranging to what people liked about my posts and so on. And so often it was information that I was not even interested in. So what I told myself was, I will just ignore it. I will no longer care what Facebook wants me to read. And I must say that this really changed the way I use Facebook. Of course, I miss events. I do miss them because I'm just not paying attention to it anymore. But for the events that really matter for my life and for the life of my friends, I still hope that I will be receiving a personal message by a friend who wants me to come to a certain event. And it does happen. It's not that I'm totally isolated. It's people still keep writing me on Facebook. So it's not that I was totally taking away the comfort for people to get in touch with me. They can, they don't have to just call me or don't have to just write me an email. They can still write me a personal message if they prefer that on Facebook. But it's just, something that I feel was very helpful for me to further declutter and to keep myself more focused while being online on the internet. And I know that for many people it's also very difficult on Facebook to not spend a significant amount of time scrolling the newsfeed. Of course there's something to it, seeing what your friends are doing every day, and ranging from very important events to basically things that do not really impact your life if you didn't see them. But it's difficult to know that in advance, what will come up next on your newsfeed. Will it be important and so significant that your friend will probably call you to tell you? Or is it just something that, is an event that takes place in a person's life, but that does not fundamentally affect your life or your relationship to that person? So for people who are, who kind of recognize this problem. What I do is I basically just deactivated this newsfeed. So there's extensions, for the browser that help you do that. And so each time I go on Facebook, I no longer see any notification and no longer any count of unread messages. I see no newsfeed. I see a wise quote. Each time I, refresh my browser, I see a different one. And I feel that I do have Facebook under my control now, and not the opposite. And with these examples of YouTube, Facebook, and email, I want to wrap up this story by also saying that and concluding that it's agreeably difficult to kind of be under control of what the vast world of the internet offers. It's not easy, but it's important to think about how we spend our time, our quality time. Our life is valuable, and how we do spend that on the internet, and for what we spend it. It's a conscious decision that every one of us needs to, think about. And please do reflect on that, and then think for yourself if what you're doing on the internet is really adding to your life or not. So, my name is Robert Ojanna, and I'm signing off from this walking podcast story. I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Have a very focused week. Just, do your work on the internet in front of your computer, and then sign off yourself and enjoy your life outside with your friends, with your family, and take good care of relationships, because that's what really matters in life. Goodbye.